You know, I think that Football Manager is a pretty difficult game, but there are those among us who think the Football Manager is too easy. Now, if you think the Football Manager is not much of a challenge, if you think that it's way too easy, you might want to take a look at some of the different challenges that are out there. And we're going to go ahead and look at one today. Challenge we're going to look at today is the Youth Academy Challenge. Now, I know that others have looked at this before. The way to get to this is on the official Sports Interactive website, community.sigames.com. Click over on the forum index. And then you need to go down under Football Manager specific playing styles. Why we have this here, I don't know. I really don't know. But this is just sort of where it is. For some reason, we decided to stick things here. Go down under challenges, signups, and experiments. Now, regardless of what year you're watching this, if it was 5 years ago or 5 years from now, you will always see the Youth Academy Challenge up at the top, because the Youth Academy Challenge is the most popular of the Football Manager challenges and has been for a long time. So we'll go ahead and click into this and take a look at this and see what this is all about. Now, for some reason, when they decided to create this screen, they decided to put all of this extra information at the top instead of putting the rules at the top. So we'll find the rules here for you and sort of explain what this is all about the easy way. The aim of this, the whole goal, is to win the top division of your chosen country, usually England, and then win the Champions League of that continent that you're in, all using a previously unplayable club, while using only the academy as a way of acquiring new players. This means no transfers of any kind. That includes no buying back former players, even on a free transfer. You can't bring anybody in on a loan, even if it's part of a deal to sell your player to a different club. That's the way that this works. So when we go look into how this works, we'll go down here to the bottom where we have this information. First of all, when you start up a new save, you need to have these settings on. You want to make sure you click on Do Not Add Key Staff and prevent use of the in-game editor. There is an additional option in the advanced database setup, which I actually recommend. I would recommend putting in players from every player possible, not just from your country, but at least from the continent, if not further away, to make sure that you have pretty good competition to worry about. Now, by the time you get up to the top, you probably are not going to have a whole bunch of players included with the game that are still playing and are still active. But my experience with Football Managers is that the more leagues you have loaded and the higher the level of detail, the more realistic it is, and the less likely it is that you're going to go to the Champions League and just waltz through everybody. Now, the steps when you start this game is, first of all, you add an unemployed manager that you're going to retire right away. Then you need to put this manager on holiday until the reset date of the nation you've chosen. Most people do this in England, so we'll look at this for England. This reset date is June 24th. That's the day when you know which clubs have been promoted that were previously unplayable into the 6th tier of the English system. Now, if you want to have different teams to choose from, because there will be different teams available, you'll want to save a game on May 24th so that you'll be able to have the randomizer pick different teams if necessary. What you do is you go in for that, you go to June 24th, and then you retire that manager and you add your new manager. This is the manager that you're going to play with. Add a new manager with your chosen nationality, say North Korean, and with the lowest possible reputation and qualifications. Then you choose the newly promoted club of your choice. That is the newly promoted club in the lowest rung that you can play in. In the default game, this would be, the 6th rung of the English system. Now, once you have chosen that club, you are allowed to keep any player that starts under contract, and you can extend their contract. Any players on loan to the club can be used, but the loans cannot be extended. And you can't sign any players. If the board decides that they want to sign a player and you can't do anything about it, you can't play with that player and you have to sell them as soon as possible. You also, if you're doing this on the forum, have to post in a screenshot showing what has happened so that people can check. Rules for the challenge are there's no loans or transfers in, but you can sell players, you can loan them out. If you're sacked, you have to start again, all from the beginning. That's why you want to make sure you have a save game that is saved so you don't have to go all the way back in holiday. Can't use the save game editor, of course. Other cheats, like transfer cheats and things that happen, don't really apply because you're not transferring anybody in. You can make cosmetic database edits. they have a thing at the top where you can add in different databases as well if you really want to. You can't do international management until you've completed the challenge. I don't think a lot of people will be doing that. You can sign backroom staff. In fact, you kind of have to do that to make this work. However, you cannot sign players on trial, and you cannot sign grayed out players. So that's the way that this works. Now, there's a little bit of advice if you do decide to do this. I'd recommend actually, instead of reading this, to look at Evidence-Based Football Manager's videos, because Max does a really good job of talking about this. There are a couple of concepts you have to understand. Youth recruitment, national youth rating, game importance, stuff like that might be a little difficult to change. Your youth facilities and junior coaching you can change over time. And all of that goes together to help produce new gems. Now remember, for your head of youth development, what you really care about is the personality more than anything else. The differences in the number ratings do make a difference, but not a huge difference. It's that personality that makes the real big difference, because you want to get guys who are model citizens or as close to it as possible. Now at the beginning, it's not going to happen, but as time goes on, that's what your goal is. That's where you want to get to. Once you have all of this set up, you're basically good to go. You might think that nobody out there could ever possibly win this, but it does happen. When you click through this, you can see that in the Hall of Fame, there are 59 people who've completed it. Most did so in Europe. There were 2 people who completed it in Oceania. And frankly, having managed Oceania, if you're using New Zealand or Fiji, it's almost like you're cheating. North America, they've only tried Mexico because the MLS is not set up for this challenge. It just doesn't work. And there are some people in other nations that have done this as well. Interesting, no South Korea there in Asia. That might be an interesting thing to try. And then there's the Hall of Fame here, which has a listing of all of the people who have completed this challenge, including Patters here, who went to 2277 before finally completing it with Scarborough in England. And so this gives you kind of an idea of what is possible and what you can try to do. Now, I am interested in this and have been interested in it for a while. Though, you know me, I'm not really a huge fan of playing with the base game and playing with all the things that come built into the game. I like using the World Super League database because it's harder. You have more teams in the league. There's a lot more variety and things to do. What I think the real challenge is, now you can't have teams added into the World Super League because of how it's created. But what I think the real challenge would be to take a team with almost nothing reputation, say a team like Holland, or there are a couple of teams in Germany at the very, very bottom of the World Super League that you can use that would be just as difficult as this challenge. Use only the youth players, don't use anybody else, right? And just sort of see how far you can go and how long it takes you to build up. The nice thing about doing it with World Super League is that you're not going to end up being relegated because you can't when you're at the very, very bottom. But the difficult thing about it, of course, is that you're basically stuck with what you have, and there are more rungs of the ladder to go up. And once you hit the very top, there's a huge gap between barely into the Premier League and being able to compete for the title. So that's what I would consider to be the ultimate sort of modern style Youth Academy challenge. But there you have it. If you find the base game too easy and you really want a difficult challenge, go for this. There's a reason why it's very popular, and I've always wanted to try it myself. Maybe we'll do that one of these days, but probably not for right now. I'll talk with you again later. Bye-bye.